Inside a material processing plant, a worker positions himself close to the feed intake of an active industrial pressing system. A routine moment near the press soon becomes hazardous. Never use your hands or body to feed material into an operating machine. In a transport yard, a worker stands near a parked truck while a forklift operates nearby carrying a stacked load of tires. The load initially appears stable, but conditions change instantly. Stacked round materials such as tires, pipes, or drums must never be transported on standard forklift forks unless they are physically restrained. These shapes lack inherent stability and can move freely if not secured. Without proper banding, shrink wrapping, or purpose-built attachments such as tire clamps, even small movements, speed changes, or mast adjustments can result in load displacement. Ground personnel must remain outside the potential movement area where materials could move if stability is compromised. At a remote maintenance site, a worker swings toward a pipe flange while a colleague stands nearby, but the task does not proceed as intended. A sledgehammer swings with wide force due to its weight and momentum. If it glances off or misses the target, the head can move unpredictably, putting anyone in its path at risk. Always stay outside the full swing zone, which includes the worker's arm plus the hammer length, and use clamps to stabilize workpieces instead of a person. On a canal bank, an excavator retracts its arm while a ground worker stands directly beneath the attached implement. The equipment appears secure, but a mechanical condition develops. No worker should ever position themselves beneath a suspended excavator attachment. If the locking mechanism is not fully engaged or a retaining device is missing, the attachment may separate from the arm without advance indication. Ground personnel must always recognize and respect equipment exclusion zones, which include areas directly beneath and surrounding elevated components. Operators are required to conduct a functional verification, commonly referred to as a bump test. In a loading area, an operator steps away from a forklift without completing the full securing process. Shortly afterward, a slow, unintentional movement occurs. Powered industrial trucks must never be left unattended without engaging the parking brake and placing all controls in neutral. Forklifts are heavy, counterbalanced machines with low rolling resistance. Even minimal surface slopes that may not be visually obvious can allow movement if braking systems are not fully applied. Each time an operator leaves the seat, the park and secure procedure must be followed. Engage the parking brake, place the transmission in neutral, and lower the forks completely to the ground to increase stability. In an unloading zone, an operator attempts to move a forklift down the metal bed of a tilt tray truck, but it doesn't go as planned. Forklifts should not be driven on or off tilt tray trucks unless the angle is minimal and surface traction is adequate. The preferred unloading method is via a dock or ground-level ramp. When tilt trays must be used, the truck should be positioned on level ground and the forklift lowered using controlled winching rather than powered driving. In a commercial kitchen, an employee attempts to reposition a heavy appliance when a hinged lid closes unexpectedly. Momentarily unsettled, she steps backward and encounters reduced traction on the smooth floor surface. This situation demonstrates how multiple minor hazards can combine into a larger safety concern. Commercial kitchens must enforce clean-as-you-go practices to keep floors free from grease and moisture. Employees should wear certified slip-resistant footwear to maintain traction in wet environments. In addition, all lids, doors, and movable components on equipment must be secured before relocation to prevent unintended movement. In a forging shop, a hydraulic press begins compressing a heated round steel workpiece. Without proper containment to hold it in place, the metal shifts off-center as pressure is applied. Applying vertical force to a round or unsecured object without appropriate containment causes the force to redirect laterally. Operators should stand to the side of the press opening or remain behind rated protective barriers. Flat platens alone are not suitable for compressing round materials as they provide no directional control during force application. In an industrial facility, a worker attempts to climb a stairwell while carrying equipment in one hand. A slight misplacement of footing affects his balance. Ascending or descending stairs and ladders requires maintaining 3 points of contact at all times. Carrying items by hand reduces grip security and overall balance. Open stairwells and vertical gaps must be treated as elevation hazards and protected accordingly. Tools should be transported using tool belts, hoists, or mechanical lift systems to keep hands free. Facilities must install guardrails, mid-rails, or protective barriers around vertical openings. When working near changes in elevation, fall prevention systems provide an essential additional safeguard. In a steel rolling mill, a worker stands near the production line to observe the adjustment process, but the situation quickly changes. A cobble event occurs when a heated steel bar encounters resistance or fails to pass cleanly through a guide, causing stored mechanical energy to redirect outside the normal operating path. This can extend the effective operating area beyond its intended boundaries. Personnel must never stand on the operating side of an active rolling mill without a verified physical barrier in place. Adjustments should only be made during full stoppages under lockout conditions. Observation must occur from designated shielded platforms designed to protect against material deviation and elevated surface temperatures. In an industrial yard, a worker stands close to a forklift lifting a large steel ring. As the load rises, the balance characteristics of the machine change. Forklifts depend on a stability triangle formed by wheel placement and center of gravity. When a load is lifted too high, exceeds rated capacity, or is handled improperly, the center of gravity can move outside this stability zone, reducing balance margins. Pedestrian exclusion zones must be strictly enforced around operating forklifts. Ground personnel should remain at least 3 meters away at all times. Operators must follow load ratings carefully and avoid maneuvering with elevated loads. Maintaining distance remains the most effective protective measure for nearby workers. As a container handler moves through a shipping terminal, a nearby worker stands too close to the side of the machine. During a turn, the rear counterweight moves outward beyond the operator's immediate field of awareness. Rear steer industrial vehicles pivot around their front wheels, causing the rear section to extend outward during turns. This movement is often underestimated by pedestrians. Anyone positioned alongside the machine may have limited opportunity to respond once motion begins. A wide exclusion zone must be maintained around the entire machine, not just the front or rear. Workers must understand that when the steering wheels turn in one direction, the rear of the vehicle moves in the opposite direction. No one should stand beside an idling machine, as movement can begin without advance indication. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.